My backyard was my sanctuary, a sprawling green lawn, a vibrant flower garden my mother had helped me cultivate before she passed, and at its heart, a shimmering, inviting pool. I loved hosting barbecues, inviting friends over for a refreshing dip on scorching summer days. It was my slice of paradise, a testament to years of hard work. But what wasn't paradise was Alessandra. Alessandra, my neighbor, lived a few houses down. From the moment I moved in, she acted possessive. She'd casually stroll into my backyard uninvited, often with a glass of wine in hand, and make herself at home by the pool. At first, I was polite, offering her a chair and making small talk. But her visits became more frequent, more demanding. She treated my pool like a public amenity and me like hired help. She complained about the pool temperature, the landscaping, even the music I played. Her sense of entitlement was staggering, especially given the thinly veiled racist remarks she'd occasionally slip into conversation. I tried to politely, then firmly, ask her to respect my boundaries. I even put up a small, symbolic chain across the gate to the pool area. She'd simply step over it, offering a saccharine smile and a condescending, "Oh, Gabe, don't be silly." The last straw was when she brought her book club over to my pool without so much as a heads up. I came home from work to find a dozen women, all white, lounging around my pool, sipping my lemonade and discussing who knows what. I was furious. Quietly, I started looking for solutions, something that would send a clear, unambiguous message. Asterisk, this is my property. Stay out. Asterisk, that's when I decided on a smart lock. It was a practical solution to a very personal problem, one I hope would restore some semblance of peace and privacy to my little oasis. Plus, I had security cameras installed a week prior, facing the backyard. The smart lock was sleek, modern, and, most importantly, effective. It required a key code for entry, a code I obviously wouldn't be sharing with Alessandra. Installation was straightforward and took me an afternoon. As I tightened the final screw, I felt a surge of satisfaction. This wasn't just about keeping Alessandra out. It was about reclaiming my space, asserting my ownership, and finally putting an end to her casual disregard for my personal boundaries. That evening, I grilled some ribs, enjoying the quiet hum of the cicadas and the gentle lapping of the pool water. It was the first time in months I felt truly relaxed in my own backyard. I even started picturing all the fun I'd have with friends and family, without the looming presence of Alessandra. I began planning a game night, and the smell of the ribs made me want to host a barbecue party. But my sense of peace was short-lived. The next morning, I noticed something odd when I glanced at my security camera feed on my phone. Alessandra was standing at the pool gate, her face contorted in disbelief and anger. She was jiggling the handle, clearly trying to open the lock. I watched, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach, as her attempts grew increasingly agitated. She muttered something under her breath, something that sounded suspiciously like a racial slur. Then it happened. Alessandra disappeared from the camera's view for a moment, and when she reappeared, she was wielding a sledgehammer. I stared at my phone, jaw slack, completely dumbfounded. Was she seriously about to? And then she did. With a grunt, she swung the sledgehammer at the smart lock. The force of the impact reverberated through the camera's audio, the metal shrieking in protest. She swung again and again, each blow fueled by a rage that seemed disproportionate to a lock gate. I watched in disbelief as she relentlessly attacked the lock, chips of metal flying like shrapnel. My initial shock quickly morphed into cold, hard anger. This wasn't just about using my pool anymore. This was about property damage, blatant disrespect, and a deeply ingrained sense of entitlement fueled by racism. She thought she could get away with anything just because she felt superior to me. This woman was out of control. I immediately started recording the video to have as evidence. I knew I had to call the police, but I wanted to make sure I had irrefutable proof of her actions first. As Alessandra continued her assault on the smart lock, finally mangling it beyond recognition, I dialed 911. My voice was surprisingly calm as I reported the incident, providing my address and explaining that my neighbor was actively vandalizing my property with a sledgehammer. The dispatcher assured me that officers were on their way. Meanwhile, Alessandra, breathing heavily and covered in sweat, managed to pry the remnants of the lock from the gate. She looked directly at my security camera, a triumphant smirk plastered across her face, then strolled into my pool area as if nothing had happened and plopped down on one of the lounge chairs. It wasn't long before the police arrived. 2 officers approached the gate, their hands resting on their holsters. I met them at the front of my property, phone in hand. "Officer," I said, "I have video evidence of everything that just happened. My neighbor, Alessandra, destroyed the lock on my pool gate with a sledgehammer." I showed them the video. They watched in silence, their expressions hardening as they witnessed Alessandra's unhinged behavior. "We need to speak with her," one of the officers said grimly. They approached Alessandra, who was now sipping a drink, still lounging by the pool. "Ma'am," one of them said, "we need to ask you some questions about the damage to this gate." Alessandra's face twisted in surprise, then quickly shifted to indignant outrage. "Damage? What damage? I was just enjoying a relaxing swim. This is outrageous." She looked at me, her eyes narrowing. "Gabe, what is the meaning of this? Why are you harassing me?" The officer held up a hand. "Ma'am, we have video evidence of you destroying the lock on this gate with a sledgehammer. Do you deny this?" Alessandra's face paled. Her carefully constructed facade of entitlement began to crumble. She stammered, That's not what it looks like. He put the lock there specifically to keep me out. I've always been allowed to use this pool. It's practically mine." The officer remained impassive. "Ma'am, destroying someone else's property is a crime. You're going to have to come with us." As the officer reached for her arm, Alessandra's composure completely shattered. She burst into tears, wailing, "This is so unfair. He's doing this because I'm white. He's discriminating against me. This is reverse racism." Then, in a sudden, shocking move, she lunged at the officer, clawing at his face. The officers quickly restrained Alessandra, placing her in handcuffs. Her cries and accusations echoed across my backyard as they led her toward the patrol car. It was a surreal scene. The woman who had so casually disregarded my boundaries, who had treated my property as her own, was now being arrested for her actions. As they drove her away, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Relief, certainly. Satisfaction, perhaps. But also a sense of sadness. It was a tragic commentary on her deep-seated prejudices and her inability to see me as anything more than a means to an end. The police took my statement and gathered the video evidence. They assured me that Alessandra would be charged with vandalism and assault. I spent the rest of the day repairing the gate, replacing the mangled smart lock with a new one, even more secure than the last. A few weeks later, I received a call from Alessandra's lawyer. She wanted to apologize, he informed me, and was willing to pay for all the damages and legal fees if I agreed to drop the charges. I thought long and hard about it. I wanted her to face consequences, but I also knew that a trial would be a lengthy and emotionally draining process. Ultimately, I agreed on the condition that she attended mandatory diversity training and publicly apologize for her actions. Did Alessandra's apology feel genuine? I honestly don't know. But maybe, just maybe, this whole ordeal served as a wake-up call for her. Maybe she'll learn to treat everyone with the respect and dignity they deserve. And maybe, finally, I can enjoy my pool in peace.